Let me ask you something honestly. How many times have you spoken too much and later wished you could pull your words back? We lose relationships not because we are bad people. We lose peace not because life is unfair. We lose respect simply because we didn't know when to stay silent. You see, words are powerful, but silence is dangerous in a good way. It makes people uncomfortable. It makes them reveal themselves. And most importantly, it saves you from unnecessary battles. Today, I am not here to teach you how to speak better. I am here to show you why keeping your mouth shut at the right time can make you unbeatable. Because in life, the loudest person is rarely the wisest, and the quietest one often wins without fighting. So listen carefully. This one habit can change how people treat you forever. Most people think the one who speaks loudly is powerful. They believe the one who reacts immediately is confident. But in reality, the person who controls their mouth controls their life. Anyone can shout, anyone can reply instantly. Anyone can say something in anger and later blame emotions. That requires no strength at all. Real strength is standing in front of disrespect and not reacting. Real power is feeling anger rise in your chest and still choosing calm. Real maturity is knowing that not every thought deserves a voice. When you remain silent, it doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you have too much wisdom to waste. Silence is the space where intelligence lives. It gives your mind time to process, not panic. It allows emotions to settle instead of exploding. And in that pause, you save yourself from words that can never be taken back. People who lack self-control speak first and think later. People who have self-control think first and often decide silence is enough. Look closely at life and you'll notice something beautiful. The calm person always appears taller. The quiet person always feels heavier. The composed person always earns respect without demanding it. Silence sends a message without saying a word. I am in control. I am not desperate to be heard. I choose peace over ego. And here is the truth no one tells you. The world listens more carefully to those who don't speak unnecessarily. When you don't rush to defend yourself, people start questioning their assumptions. When you don't argue, others start hearing their own noise. When you don't react, your presence becomes powerful. Self-control is not about suppressing yourself. It is about mastering yourself. The tongue is small, but it destroys big things. Relationships, reputations, respect. Silence, on the other hand, builds slowly and strongly. It protects your dignity. It guards your energy. It keeps your inner peace intact. So remember this. If you can control your words, you can control your reactions. If you can control your reactions, you can control your outcomes. And when you master silence, you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. That is not weakness. That is real power. The more you talk, the more power you give away. Most people don't realize this, but every unnecessary word is like handing someone a piece of your control. You speak to feel lighter. They listen to find leverage. When you talk too much, you reveal your fears without knowing it. You expose your insecurities without meaning to. You explain your intentions to people who never deserved the explanation in the first place. And once your words are out, they are no longer yours. People don't always listen to understand you. Many listen to use you. They remember what you said, twist what you meant, and repeat what benefits them. Silence protects you from all of this. The person who talks the most in a room often feels powerful in a moment, but the person who speaks less controls the direction of the room, because information is power, and every time you overshare, you leak it. You don't need to tell people your plans. You don't need to explain your next move. You don't need to justify your boundaries. The moment you explain too much, you give others the chance to doubt you, challenge you, or manipulate you. Have you noticed something? The strongest people don't announce what they're about to do. They let results do the talking. Talking creates opinions. Silence creates curiosity. When you stay quiet, people wonder. When you speak too much, people judge, and judgment always weakens your position. Silence makes people uncomfortable because they don't know where you stand. And uncertainty is power. It keeps others cautious. It keeps them respectful. But when you reveal everything, your struggles, your strategy, your emotions, you become predictable, and predictability is dangerous. Some people will sympathize with your words, others will store them, a few will weaponize them. That is why wise people are selective, not secretive. They speak with purpose, not impulse. They respond, not react. They understand that not every listener is a well-wisher. Talking too much also drains your own energy. You repeat stories, you replay pain, you relive emotions that should have stayed buried. Silence heals what words keep reopening. When you stop explaining yourself, something powerful happens. You stop seeking approval. You stop trying to be understood by those who never intended to understand you. And that is freedom. Power is not in being heard all the time. Power is in knowing you don't need to be, say less, observe more. Let your presence speak, because the less you give away through words, the stronger you become in every situation. Silence exposes the real intentions of others. Most people don't show who they are when you're talking. They reveal themselves when you stop. As long as you keep explaining, reacting, defending, and filling the silence, people can hide behind their masks. They agree when it's convenient. They smile when it benefits them. They pretend to understand you. But the moment you go quiet, something changes. Silence makes people uncomfortable because it removes their cover. There is nothing for them to respond to, nothing to argue with, nothing to manipulate. And in that discomfort, their true nature starts to leak out. Some people become restless, some start talking too much, some get irritated, some try to provoke you just to get a reaction. That reaction they are chasing, that's where their intention lives. When you stay silent, you are no longer feeding the situation. You become an observer instead of a participant. And when you observe, you begin to notice patterns you never saw before. You see who respects your boundaries and who hates them. You see who values peace and who thrives on chaos. You see who genuinely cares and who only cared when they could control you. Silence removes emotional noise, and once the noise is gone, clarity arrives. People with pure intentions feel safe in silence. They don't rush you, they don't pressure you, they don't demand explanations. But people with hidden motives, silence exposes them quickly. They feel threatened when they can't read you. They feel insecure when they can't control the conversation. They feel frustrated when you don't give them information. And frustration always reveals truth. Some will push harder, some will guilt you, some will accuse you of being distant, rude, or changed. But understand this, when someone is disturbed by your silence, it's usually because they were benefiting far your noise. Silence also shows you who is patient and who is selfish, who listens and who only waits for their turn to speak, who respects your timing and who only cares about their own. When you stop responding immediately, you learn a lot. Who stays, who leaves, who changes their tone, who reveals their agenda. Silence is like a mirror. It doesn't say anything, yet it reflects everything. And the most powerful part, you don't have to accuse anyone. You don't have to confront them. You don't have to prove a single point. People expose themselves without you lifting a finger. So remember, talking shows your thoughts. Silence shows their character. And once you see the truth clearly, you stop wasting words on the wrong people. Arguments die when one person refuses to feed them. Every argument survives on one thing: reaction. Take that away, and the fight has nothing to breathe with. Most conflicts don't begin because of deep problems. They begin because of wounded egos, a sharp tone, a misunderstood word, a moment of emotional weakness. And once the fire starts, words become fuel. People think winning an argument means speaking better, louder, or faster. But the truth is, the real victory is ending it without losing your peace. When you respond to provocation, you step into the other person's game. You accept their rules. You play on their emotional battlefield. But when you choose silence, the game collapses. Silence breaks the rhythm of conflict. The other person expects resistance. They are prepared for a reply. They are ready with their next attack. And when it doesn't come, they lose balance. An argument needs two participants. Take one away, and it becomes a monologue. And no one can fight alone for long. Silence forces the other person to face their own noise. Their anger echoes back to them. Their words feel heavier without opposition. Very. Often people don't want solutions, they want reactions. They want validation of their anger. They want to feel powerful by pulling you into chaos. Silence denies them that reward. It does not mean you agree, it does not mean you are afraid. It means you are wise enough to know that not every battle deserves your energy. There is also dignity in silence. When you don't lower yourself to heated words, you rise above the situation. You protect your character while others expose theirs. And something remarkable happens. The one who is shouting looks smaller. The one who is calm looks stronger. Silence gives emotions time to cool. What feels urgent in the moment often feels foolish later. By staying quiet, you allow time to do what words cannot. Many arguments are fueled by misunderstandings. Silence creates space for clarity. It prevents permanent damage caused by temporary emotions. Harsh words cannot be taken back. Silence, however, leaves room for repair. Some people will get angrier when you don't respond. That anger is proof you made the right choice, because it shows they wanted control, not conversation. Peace is not the absence of conflict. Peace is the ability to remain calm inside it. When you refuse to feed an argument, you don't lose your voice. You save it for moments that matter. And in the end, the quiet person walks away with peace. The loud one walks away with regret. That is how arguments die, not with louder words, but with silence that refuses to fight back. Your silence protects your dignity. Dignity is fragile. It doesn't break loudly, it cracks quietly. And most of the time, it is not taken from us. We give it away with our own words. In moments of anger, embarrassment, or hurt, the mouth moves faster than the mind. We say things we don't mean. We reveal emotions that should have stayed private. We lower ourselves just to feel moment. Early relieved, but relief fades, regret stays. Silence, on the other hand, stands like a shield. It stops you from stepping into situations that will make you smaller tomorrow. When you remain silent, you deny people the chance to pull you into drama. You refuse to entertain disrespect. You choose composure over chaos. Dignity is not about proving you are right. It is about refusing to behave in a way that feels wrong to your soul. Have you noticed? People rarely remember the argument itself. They remember how you behaved during it. The one who shouted is remembered as unstable. The one who insulted is remembered as bitter. But the one who stayed calm, they are remembered as strong. Silence allows you to exit situations cleanly. No mess, no damage, no words used against you later. Because words, once spoken, travel. They are repeated, they are exaggerated, they are reshaped to fit someone else's story. Your silence leaves nothing to twist. It also shows self-respect. When you don't explain yourself to people who have already decided to misunderstand you, you send a powerful message. I know my worth. Dignity is choosing not to react to disrespect, not because you accept it, but because you refuse to become it. Silence keeps your emotions private. Not everyone deserves access to your pain. Not everyone deserves to know what bothers you. Some people ask questions not to help, but to gather ammunition. Silence denies them that privilege. There is a quiet confidence in restraint, a calm strength in not defending every accusation, a deep grace in walking away without saying a word. And here is the truth. You will never regret the moments you held your tongue, but you will always remember the moments you lost control. Silence preserves your image, your peace, and your power. It allows you to rise above situations that were designed to pull you down. So what? And emotions rise, and words beg to escape. Pause, breathe, choose silence. Because dignity is not loud. It doesn't shout, it stands still and lets silence do the talking. Smart people observe, insecure people explain. Think about it carefully. The need to constantly explain yourself is rarely about clarity. It is almost always about insecurity. When someone feels uncertain about their own value or position, they talk too much. They justify, defend, and over-explain themselves. They believe that if they don't speak, the world will misunderstand them. And so they pour out their thoughts, hoping that words will earn approval, respect, or love. But the truth is, The more you explain, the less powerful you appear. Smart people don't rush to justify themselves. They don't feel the need to convince everyone of their intentions. They know that truth does not require constant affirmation. They understand that actions carry far more weight than explanations. Observation is the tool of wisdom. When you watch carefully, without rushing to speak, you gather knowledge that others miss. You notice motives, patterns, and intentions. You see who is genuine and who is pretending. And you do all this silently, letting the world reveal itself without your interference. The insecure person talks to prove something. The smart person observes to understand everything. Have you noticed that those who speak too much often attract misunderstandings? Every word is a chance for misinterpretation. Every explanation is an opportunity for someone to disagree or manipulate. In trying to be understood, they often end up complicating their situation further. Smart people avoid this trap. They know that silence gives clarity. They know that observing first allows them to respond better later. They know that timing is more important than talking. Observation also builds empathy by listening and watching instead of talking. You understand perspectives you never considered. You see emotions behind words. You notice intent behind actions. And with this understanding, your responses become more measured, more strategic, more effective. Explaining endlessly often comes from fear. Fear of judgment, fear of losing, fear of being ignored. Observing comes from confidence. Confidence in your abilities, confidence in your judgment, confidence in the power of silence. Insecure people demand attention. They want everyone to validate their choices. Smart people demand nothing. They allow life to unfold, quietly guiding it through their awareness. When you explain less and observe more, you gain control over situations. You stop reacting impulsively. You start seeing the true picture. And this insight, this calm, silent understanding, gives you an edge that words cannot buy. So the next time you feel the urge to justify, defend, or explain yourself, pause, ask yourself, are these words necessary or are they feeding my insecurity? Observe first, think deeply, let your silence be your strength. Because in a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, the one who watches quietly often sees the whole story and wins without saying a word. Silence gives you time to think, not react. In the heat of a moment, our instincts push us to respond immediately. A harsh word, a sudden accusation, an unexpected criticism. And almost always, our first reaction is not our best, it is emotional. It is impulsive. It is temporary. Reacting without thought often leads to regret. It damages relationships. It tarnishes reputations. It escalates conflicts that could have been resolved with calm. Silence, on the other hand, gives your mind the space it desperately needs. It slows down your impulses. It creates a pause between the stimulus and your response. And in that pause, clarity begins to emerge. When you pause, you begin to see things differently. You notice motivations. You recognize patterns. You separate facts from assumptions. And suddenly, the situation is no longer as urgent or threatening as it first appeared. Thinking before reacting is an act of self-respect. It is acknowledging that your words carry weight, that your actions have consequences, and that not every moment demands your energy. Many people waste their lives reacting to insults, reacting to criticism, reacting to gossip, reacting to chaos. They are slaves to the noise around them. Their words are used against them, and their emotions are constantly drained. Silence allows you to reclaim that power. It gives you control over your responses. It allows you to choose wisdom over emotion, strategy over impulse, and peace over chaos. There is a remarkable difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is immediate. Response is deliberate. Reaction is emotional. Response is thoughtful. Reaction burns bridges. Response builds them. When you give yourself time to think, you avoid saying things you cannot take back. You avoid creating conflicts that serve no purpose. You avoid revealing vulnerabilities that others might exploit. Silence also gives you perspective. It allows you to consider long-term consequences instead of seeking short-term satisfaction. It teaches patience in a world obsessed with instant results. It fosters empathy by letting you understand the other person's point of view before judging them. Think of silence as a pause button in life. Press it and the chaos slows down. Press it and your mind begins to organize what was once overwhelming. Press it and your decisions become more measured, more intentional, more powerful. People who react quickly often regret their words. People who pause and think often create outcomes they are proud of. Silence is not empty. It is full of potential. It is full of understanding. It is full of foresight. So the next time emotions rise and pressure mounts, remember this. Your words do not need to escape immediately. Hold them, reflect, think deeply. And when you finally speak, your voice will carry wisdom, not haste, power, not impulsiveness, clarity, not confusion. In the art of life, silence is not inaction. It is preparation, it is strategy, it is mastery. And those who master the pause often master life itself. When you stay quiet, your actions speak louder. Words are easy. Anyone can speak, anyone can make promises, anyone can explain, justify, or argue. But actions are different. Actions are proof. Actions are reality. Actions carry weight that words can never achieve. Most people spend their lives trying to convince others of their worth with words. They explain themselves endlessly, hoping to be understood, hoping to be respected, hoping to be seen as capable. But in reality, no matter how persuasive your words are, they are fleeting. People forget what you said. People misinterpret what you meant. People twist your intentions for their benefit. Actions, however, are undeniable. They are the language that requires no translation. They are the evidence that can't be disputed. They are louder than any argument, any defense, or any explanation. When you stay quiet and focus on your deeds, you demonstrate integrity. You show consistency. You reveal your true character. You allow people to witness your values in motion rather than hearing them described in words. Silence also allows your achievements to shine without interference. When you don't shout about what you are doing, others notice organically. They see results. They see commitment. They see perseverance, and respect is earned, not demanded. Those who constantly talk about their intent. Ions are often trying to mask lack of progress. They fill the air with promises because their actions cannot yet speak. But those who stay quiet, who work diligently behind the scenes, eventually let their results speak on their behalf, and the impact is far more powerful than any explanation could ever be. Quiet action also commands attention in ways that noise cannot. When you stop trying to justify yourself, when you stop defending your efforts, people start watching carefully. They begin to notice patterns. They begin to respect consistency. And they trust the person who lets deeds demonstrate value instead of words. There is a special kind of power in observing rather than talking. When you act silently, you do not waste energy in convincing others. You conserve it for meaningful action. You invest it in results. And over time, those results build credibility, authority, and influence. Remaining silent while working also cultivates patience. You do not expect immediate recognition. You do not crave validation. You understand that true impact is gradual, steady, and undeniable. Words might fade, but results remain. In relationships, this principle works the same way. Saying "I care" repeatedly is easy. Showing care through actions, day after day, speaks infinitely louder. Promising to help is simple. Actually helping consistently, without fanfare, demonstrates sincerity. Explaining your intentions takes effort. Living them requires strength. The quiet achiever teaches an important lesson to the world. That value is measured in what you do, not what you say. That credibility is built on effort, not explanations. That respect is earned by results, not arguments. And here is the ultimate truth. When you allow your actions to speak, you no longer need to compete with the noise of others. Their words cannot diminish the reality of your work. Their criticism cannot erase your impact. Their doubt cannot shake your consistency. In a world obsessed with talking, the one who acts quietly becomes unforgettable. In a world full of claims, the one who demonstrates quietly becomes unshakable. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, the one who shows results quietly becomes powerful beyond measure. So stop explaining, stop justifying, stop defending, work, act, deliver. Let your life be a testament and your results be the voice that carries your message louder than any words ever could. Silence confuses manipulators. Some people thrive on reactions. They feed off your anger, your defensiveness, your explanations, your excuses. The moment you react, they feel validated. They feel in control. They believe they have the power because they provoked a response. But silence? Silence is a weapon they cannot anticipate. When you stop reacting to manipulation, you take away the thrill they live for. Their attempts to control you fall flat. Their words lose their sting. Their strategies lose their power. Manipulators rely on predictability. They study patterns. They know how you usually respond. They count on your emotions to guide your words. They expect that you will explain, justify, or argue. Silence disrupts all of that. The quiet person becomes a mystery, a riddle that cannot be solved, a challenge that cannot be won through provocation. And manipulators hate uncertainty because uncertainty strips them of dominance. When you refuse to engage, they are forced to confront themselves. Without your reaction, their intentions are exposed. They reveal themselves in frustration, impatience, or overcompensation. And in doing so, they give you insight you could never gain if you had joined the battle. Silence also protects your energy. Every unnecessary argument drains you. Every manipulative attempt takes a piece of your focus. And peace. When you remain quiet, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. It takes strength to stay silent in the face of provocation. It takes discipline to withhold words when your instincts scream at you to respond. It takes wisdom to know that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every statement deserves an answer. Manipulators will try to bait you. They will push buttons. They will create drama. They will attempt to provoke guilt or shame. And when you don't respond, they lose their rhythm. They feel frustrated. They may escalate, but every escalation only exposes them further. Their tactics become transparent. Their intentions become clear. Silence is not weakness. It is observation, strategy, and self-respect combined. It gives you clarity while leaving manipulators confused and powerless. When you allow silence to be your shield, you create a space where they cannot touch your peace, your judgment, or your dignity. And here is the most powerful part. Silence does more than confuse manipulators. It teaches them that their usual methods do not work on you. It establishes boundaries without confrontation. It communicates strength without words. Those who manipulate through provocation will eventually seek easier targets because they realize the quiet person cannot be controlled. They realize the quiet person sees beyond their games. They realize the quiet person cannot be bent or broken by noise. Silence turns manipulation into transparency. It turns chaos into clarity. It turns attempts to control into lessons in patience and strategy. So remember, whenever you encounter manipulation, don't react, observe, pause, stay silent. Let their confusion reveal the truth. Let their frustration expose their intentions. Let your quiet strength protect you, empower you, and ultimately win every situation without ever saying a word. Knowing when to speak is wisdom. Knowing when to stay silent is mastery. There is a world of difference between speaking and staying silent. Words are powerful. They can inspire, comfort, persuade, and teach. But they can also wound, mislead, escalate, and destroy. The skill of knowing what to say, when to say it, and to whom is wisdom. The skill of knowing when not to say anything at all is mastery, and it is far rarer. Most people confuse silence with weakness. They believe that if they do not speak, they are losing control. They think that by holding back, they are missing opportunities. But in reality, silence is often the most potent form of power. Speaking without thought can backfire. A word spoken in anger, frustration, or fear can have consequences that last a lifetime. It can ruin relationships, damage reputations, and create conflicts that were never necessary. The moment a word leaves your mouth, you cannot take it back. But staying silent allows you to pause, reflect, and choose wisely. Mastery of silence comes from understanding that not every situation requires your input. Some arguments will resolve themselves. Some misunderstandings will fade with time. Some people will reveal their true character if you simply wait and observe. Knowing when to speak is about timing. It is about weighing the value of your words against the potential consequences. It is about discerning which battles are worth engaging in and which are best ignored. Wisdom is saying the right thing at the right moment. Mastery is knowing that sometimes the right thing is nothing at all. Silence also protects your energy. Every conversation, every confrontation, every explanation consumes mental and emotional resources. When you choose silence, you conserve your strength for situations that truly matter. You maintain clarity of thought. You preserve peace of mind. You avoid unnecessary conflict. There is also a strategic aspect to silence. When others are impulsive, reactive, or emotional, silence gives you the upper hand. It allows you to observe without interference. It allows you to anticipate moves without revealing your own. It creates an aura of calm authority. People notice when someone does not react immediately. They respect it. They hesitate before provoking, and they are often left wondering what the quiet person is thinking. Silence cultivates self-mastery. It requires discipline to hold your tongue when every instinct screams at you to respond. It requires patience to wait when you feel provoked or challenged. It requires confidence to know that you do not need to explain, justify, or defend yourself constantly, and that confidence radiates, silently influencing every interaction. Mastery of silence is also about understanding human nature. People often reveal more in the absence of words than in the abundance of them. Manipulators, critics, and even friends show their true intentions when they are not met with immediate reaction. By staying silent, you let the world reveal itself without interference. You become a witness rather than a participant in unnecessary chaos. Ultimately, mastery lies in balance. Speaking is necessary, but so is restraint. Action often speaks louder than words, but sometimes silence speaks loudest of all. The person who knows when to speak and when to remain silent commands respect, influence, and clarity in every situation. And here is the final truth. Words can earn attention, but silence earns respect. Words can win arguments, but silence wins situations. Words can impress people for a moment, but silence leaves a lasting impact. When you cultivate the wisdom to know when to speak and the mastery to know when to stay silent, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. You navigate life with calm, clarity, and power. You influence without forcing. You lead without shouting. You win simply by knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet.